Hi, I'm Sarah Ozel Shore, and on May 1st and May 8th, I will be conducting a free online training about why good interventions fail and how to assess regulation in real time. The reason I'm offering this training is because regulation is the first and most foundational capacity we need to assess in psychotherapy sessions. Before interpretation, before exploration, before relational work, you as the clinician have to understand whether your client's nervous system is sufficiently regulated to metabolize the psychological experience of the session. Without assessing for regulation and truly understanding where your client is, even thoughtful and really well-designed interventions can fail. Now, the difficulty is that regulation is often misread in the therapy room. A client may appear calm, conversational, or compliance. None of those equal regulated. So a client may appear calm. A client may speak fluently about their experience. A client may appear cooperative, thoughtful, and engaged in the conversation. But what looks calm, conversational, or compliant is not necessarily a regulated psychological system sitting across from you. Those surface signals can occur even when the client's regulatory capacity is constrained. And when that happens, interventions that depend on reflection, insight, emotional processing may exceed what the client can actually hold in that moment. So your intervention isn't going to land. This webinar focuses specifically on how clinicians can begin assessing regulation in real time. This will then orient you and it will inform your decisions about interventions in session. We will look at what a regulated nervous system actually looks like in a psychotherapy session, including the elements that allow a client to remain emotionally present while thinking about their experience and staying in relational contact. So there's actually several pieces to assessing client regulation, and then a rubric for how to intervene based on where your client falls in terms of regulation in that moment, in that session. So we will examine in this training common indicators that show you the client's regulation is narrowing and how those shifts change what kind of clinical interventions are actually possible. So the focus is not on adding any techniques. This is really about calibrating your interventions to where the client is and being able to assess for regulation in real time. What we want to do, and what the focus of this training is understanding what the client's system can sustain in that moment. So it's very much about pacing, it's about calibrating, and it's about discerning where your client is and what's possible psychotherapeutically in that moment. So if you've had the experience of interventions that seem clinically sound but don't move the session forward, this webinar is designed to clarify why that happens and how we as clinicians can begin assessing these moments more accurately. I'm Sarah Ozel Shore, and I hope you'll join us.